Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about business value. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, there's a saying stating that engineers are hired to create business value, not to program things. Do you agree with this? Why or why not? I agree with both. So this is one of those things that I've said many times before, guys, and I'm gonna say it until like you can put it on my tombstone. Stupid people will always fuck everything up. Always. It doesn't matter. Like this is one of those slogan type of things. It's a saying that you're here to do this or you're here, and then you can. This is the thing, guys. You can interpret that in any way you want. Always, 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 always. I had this discussion the other day, just the other day, with one of my coworkers or one of the teams that I was working with, where they would not allow me access to a certain environment because apparently being the principal, in this case I'm a principal engineer, which basically means that I'm the highest ranked software developer level within the organization, but I'm not specifically allocated to their team. In other words, I'm not one of that team's specific software developers. I do work with all of them. They literally are following the standards, and everything that I do is literally like they literally are subjugated or like affected by every decision that I make within my team. But they would not give me access to a communication channel. In this case, was a team channel because, and I quote, they had production secrets in files in that repository, in that channel. Now, as I said to like their managers and so forth, like if we just ignore the fact that they're doing something that is a very serious for most companies security leak, because you don't put production secrets in an instant messaging system. That's security 101. Like even the that's corporate training level stuff. It's not something you have to be a software developer to know. But the fact that they would not trust me to get into their environment, to actually they wouldn't allow me access at all due to quote unquote, and I quote, security reasons, even though I have the same contract, I have the same skills. Like as I explained to them, does it make the situation go better if I just join your team? Because like, are you gonna have the, if you hire a new developer, are you not gonna give them access either? After going through that, the thing that I finally said was to basically just quote the the values of the entire organization, and which one of them was inclusion. So I told them, I don't feel like we're following our core values as an organization when we don't trust our coworkers to be to be part of certain groups and so forth, because one of our values is inclusion. Whereupon their manager just completely ignores what I'm saying and just says, "Well, but yeah, but we don't know you. You could, they sort of dismiss the whole thing because to them they don't like the inclusion. Yeah, this is not something that fits within whatever they feel is right for the moment." And it's the same thing. I had exactly this conversation with another guy who was saying like, "Oh, we have speak up culture in our company." And he said, "Well, yeah, but nobody really listens and stuff like that." And I told him, you know, do you realize that every single manager you will ever talk to, it doesn't even matter if it's like where you are, will tell you that they have speak up culture. It's just that you have to understand what that means. In one company, speak up culture means that, yeah, you can say that you don't think that something is working and you're going to be fine. In another one, you might be working under a dictator and he's going to shoot you if you say it. Because speak up culture means that you get to say something. It doesn't mean that they're going to, like, that there are no consequences for what you say. And when you start understanding that people always morph things, every single one of these sayings, they will flex into meaning what they want it to mean. Well, creating business value, that is what you do. But you use code to do so, because if there's no restriction, as I said, like that's why we have like role descriptions and things like that. Otherwise, the software developer might as well, what are we going to run the whole company? which in many cases we feel like we're doing because of other reasons where I've said this 100 times. For some reason, it's always the software developer's responsibility to learn absolutely everything about everything, because nobody else ever takes responsibility for anything apart from sitting in meetings in many cases. And so a business person might go and say, you should take care of A, B, and C, and so forth. Like, you do all of these different things because it creates business value. But the problem is that that is not what you are hired to do. So you can counter by saying that, yeah, I am here to create business value, but the thing is that my skills, like the thing that I'm supposed to create business value with, is software development. And so the problem becomes basically a question of definition. And that is what I argue that is 99% of all of these problems that we have. When do we agree that we share exactly the same viewpoint of what something means? Incidentally, that is what the entire legal system problem is about. Do we know what the person who wrote this law, or like the intent behind the law, like how do we interpret this? Like where is the cutoff point of what one thing means and what another thing means? And that is, like, I don't think that's ever gonna have to go away. That's gonna stay for as long as there's language. I mean, everything is open for interpretation when we say words and like when we communicate. And so what I try to use this, like the thing that I agree about here, is that I'm trying to use this as a way to influence or to guide the way that I write software, to keep me honest about the software that I'm writing. I don't agree that a software developer should take on like 100 different tasks that has nothing to do with the thing that they're there to do, just so it can basically be offloaded from some other person who is supposed to actually be able to do those things, which is classic product owners. I just want you all to know that you are, in many cases, weirdly attached to this idea that the software developer is going to set up everything for you and you don't have to learn anything, which is classic. Like, I have so many different people who, like, literally they ask me from anything. Oh, can you explain to me how my Google Analytics account works? To can you fix the printer? To like everything that is not, straightforward. Like, if it's not an Excel sheet for some reason or a PowerPoint presentation, then it's somebody else's job. I truly despise people who behave that way, because as I said, you can always use this argument. You can always say, but it creates business value, and it's it's your job to create business value. Yeah, sure, depending on how you look at it. But as I said, well, if I go with inclusion, well, I should be able to go into the bathroom with your kids because we believe in inclusion. You can always, it's the same deal. Like, you can always just throw out some saying that is in general terms true, but then miss the whole point and like the spirit of the thing, just so that you can make a point and get your way, which is a very common thing that people do. You use some saying or some slogan or something, and you make it mean the thing that you want it to mean. And I don't believe in that at all. But what I do believe in is that software developers should not become detached from the idea of business value, because in many cases, especially the philosophers, what they will do is that they will forget that the purpose of their coding and the things that they are doing and building and stuff for is to benefit the business value of the company. Many software developers don't feel that accountability and forget about it completely, and they create very sophisticated solutions that don't necessarily work. They start experimenting with wildly different tools at the expense of the company and creating legacy and all this stuff, because for them it's just a sandbox, which is the other extreme. Like, they don't have their eyes on the prize, and they don't put the company's health and well-being first when they're working, which is a very dangerous thing. And that is why creating business value and having this idea, and not just quote-unquote becoming a code monkey and only coding, is a very good value to have. It should be a guiding principle in the work that you do. I hope that makes sense to you. So what I want you to take away from this is that, yes, I believe that developers are, but that's true for everybody. Remember that, guys. It's not just software developers. You should be able to tell your PO that the same thing. If they are fucking around and doing things that they're not supposed to be doing that doesn't benefit the company, you can use this slogan, and then I promise you, you will get into this conversation with them. What does it mean to create business value? And then you can have that discussion 100 times over, and you can pull in, which is what I have to do when I had in my little story here. I had to include the manager and then the manager's manager, and it just goes up the the chain until we finally reach the point which is always the thing that is the arbiter of these sorts of discussions. Who has the most power and what do they think that this means? And you'll find usually that depending on your manager, you will go through a few levels of middle managers, because middle managers, as I've said in many other many other videos, they don't want to lead. They don't want to take a stance on anything, because sticking your neck out is a risk, and they don't want that. So what they want is to get you to like, they're going to try to do conflict resolution without taking a stance or a point or anything like that, which is not really possible when you're debating a philosophical topic. Either it does mean the thing that we are discussing, or it doesn't mean it. It's a binary thing. Either it means one or the other, and we can't move forward until we agree on what it actually means. And that is, as I said, that's laws, wars, whatever you have. Every single thing comes down to, do we have the same viewpoint of what this thing that we are agreeing on means? It's extremely complicated. And so what I believe is that if you are using this as an excuse to not do the thing that it should help you do, which is to understand what your priorities should be, then that's a situation that you have to take a look at. It's important that you use something like this to actually further the value that you're creating, so you get the best results possible, because the results are what you should be focusing on. But as I said, the danger happens when you have stupid people or people who are like nefarious or so forth. What they will do is that they're not going to act in good faith, and they will use these doctrines and these different sayings and words of wisdom as a method to further their own agenda, and that agenda may not necessarily be what's good for the company. And in some cases, that's a slothy software developer who doesn't, who just wants to fuck around with a bunch of tools and do whatever they want, and then they just invent, oh yeah, but if I just learn how to program in Haskell, I will be a better software developer, and therefore I will make more money. Yeah, sure, that is true, but you're probably making it a little bit of a stretch there. Like, there is probably some relevance there, but if you force it long enough, yeah, then you can probably make up any logical correlation to creating business value. And on the other hand, a business person who doesn't know anything about the company whatsoever forces like everybody else to do everything, and the software developer basically runs the whole department on a junior salary, because they're not just only supposed to be doing coding, because it's not just about the code, it's about the business value. So that's the thing I can tell you guys. These things are either true or they're false, and it always comes down to, do you actually understand? Do you understand what you're trying to achieve? The goal is the thing that dictates which one is going to be true, and the methods and the agreement between the people who are working in that environment. Have a great day.